Welcome everybody to this week's edition of Valpo Basketball Weekly. Brandon Vickery with you. Glad to be joined by the head coach of the Valpo men's basketball program, Roger Powell Jr., as we look back at this past week and we'll look ahead to this week's games. And let's start, coach, with something that's been a factor, maybe in the last few games in particular, and that's size. What are your plans, maybe long term, as you get into recruiting to address size on the roster? And what can you do within the roster that you have this year to make that less of a factor going forward this season?
Well, you can't really change a lot right now. So, I think the biggest thing is, I think we're going to talk about it later, giving guys opportunities. Like Carson gave him an opportunity. He came in and had 10 rebounds and 9 points, which is awesome. Coming from, a redshirt freshman, someone that, you give a chance and they take advantage of it. So that's been a big help. And then, like we worked on, doubling a little bit, trying to see if we can neutralize some of these bigger targets. But, when you have a kid come off the bench that, has been working and we've been pushing in practice, I've been seeing him progress and he gives you 10 rebounds. That helps a lot because, with size, we've really been having trouble rebounding the ball, which, last game was, we won the boards battle. So it's something where it's going to be game by game, just continuing to, develop Carson, hopefully continue to build on that, playing bigger with those guys. And then as it pertains to recruiting, trying to get someone that's pretty big and physical next year, that can help neutralize like a big, the big fella we just played against at Illinois State. And that's something that we're working hard to do, and we're going to make sure that we have that.
I want to ask you more about Carson. What was it that you saw in practice that made you make the decision that he was the one that you wanted to give that opportunity to on Saturday?
He's kept a great attitude. And, one of the things we've kind of, given these guys, our bigger guys on the team, opportunities to practice with the gold squad and the white squad. And I was evaluating, who wanted to play, who was ready to play, who was competing. And obviously his ability to shoot the ball stood out too, just because that's an added asset. But, he just continues to compete, and he rebounds the ball, which we needed. And he had some practices that were kind of so-so, but he just consistently, kept the right attitude and kept fighting. So I gave him a chance, and he took advantage of it.
Speaking of taking advantage of a chance, Isaiah Shaw came off the bench and played a role on Saturday, scored 10 points. What stood out to you about the way he played in that one?
That's what, I was expecting to get from him on a more consistent basis. I think he has the ability to do that. So wasn't so much shocked by it. I just told him we gotta continue to do that and be more consistent with it. And I think he will. The thing with Isaiah is, no one really knows this. He went home for Christmas and he was really sick. He lost a ton of weight, and before he lost that weight, he was, um, he had like 10 more pounds, and that was when we played Drake, and he had a big game, and he had some big games early, and obviously his shooting was kind of inconsistent, but he was a lot more physical. And I could tell that he took a dip because of just coming right back after Christmas break and practicing like he did. He lost all that weight. Well, now he's finally starting to kind of get it back, and I think that's starting to help him. So yeah, I'm excited because hopefully, we can these last 8 games of the regular season, he can continue just to kind of get back to where he was and go a little further. So really excited, really proud of him, man. We were stagnant in that game against Illinois State. He came in and gave us a spark. So that's what I expect from him, and I think he has the ability to do it. So I'm excited to see him continue with that.
Ask you about the league as a whole. And there's been a number of times this year when I've checked the other scores from games around the league and been surprised by a score or result. What can you say about the level of parity in the Valley this year and then the level of competitiveness from top to bottom in the league?
Yeah, it's a very competitive league, man. It's a lot of great teams, and you may look at our most recent record and see we lost, 7 in a row, but a lot of those losses, man, we've had leads and it was been close, and so that they've been competitive games. And I don't want to put too much emphasis on just how many we've lost in a row because that can change quickly. just like we won three in a row early in conference season, and then all of a sudden, bam, we got seven. So things can shift quickly. It's just a matter of sticking to your process. Um, you know, your guys continuing to compete, continuing to fight, searching for answers, which I think we found in Carson, and then just game by game, just trying to, pull them out. And one of the things I will say with this conference is, it's unforgiving to younger teams. And I look out there on the floor, man, and I got, Cooper as a sophomore, all as a true freshman, and Isaiah Shaw as a sophomore, Casper as a sophomore, redshirt freshman, Carson coming into the game. And it's just like we're still playing a lot of young players. And but these young players are growing up, and if we do a good job of keeping our core together, those young players aren't going to be young anymore. They're going to be seasoned in the valley. And shout out to All Right, man. All Right, you know, he has a lot of pressure on him being a first year freshman and basically being a point guard. And obviously we got Darius, and Darius helps when I bring him in, they play together. But he's been maturing each game, learning and growing, and it's been fun to see. And I think these guys are have a chance to keep getting better, and we are. And with Carson and playing bigger, we're gonna attack this big problem and see what we can do.
Look ahead to Wednesday's game. When you talked about that winning streak, Indiana State the first time was part of that. How do you replicate the success from the first meeting on Wednesday?
Yeah, man, we just gotta keep getting better. We got to stick to our process. Our offense has gotten better. It's gotten more fluid. We had a couple games where our offense was kind of stagnant. We had a lot of turnovers. We're starting to shoot the ball a little bit better. And then with them, we got to be able to guard them. And that's where, we're at the really lock into our defensive principles. I mean, they got a great guard in Teal and big time big and Darty. So we're going to have to be able to, neutralize those guys and yeah, and just continue to fight. And the biggest thing with us is that, that last 3 minutes into a game when it's close and whether we have a lead or we're only down by one, just being disciplined and taking care of the ball and getting good shots and not panicking. And then lastly, cleaning up the glass late in games, not allowing teams to get second opportunities. And those are things we got to correct regardless of who we're playing against. So, I'm looking forward to seeing if we can take that step and hopefully get a big time road win for our program.
State 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday night. The game on ESPN Plus, and then back home on Saturday, it's all sports reunion weekend. Murray State will be in town for a 3 o'clock tip. We hope to see you there. Tickets available at tickets.valpoathletics.com. We'll talk to you again next time on Valpo Basketball Weekly, presented by Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute.